Yes.
Just maybe we can show. So I'm going to introduce the empathy training, the concept. I'm just recording this just so that we can share that with anyone that's interested. They can just take a look at this perhaps. So we're going to create an empathy training around the book, the Listening Well book, The Art of Empathic Understanding by William Miller. And to create sort of a MOOC or an online course. You know, it's kind of a multimedia with text and video, images, and I'm even thinking like maybe having it be like here's an open source, something kind of like a framework that other people could contribute to in some way. I'm not quite sure how that would work, but that was the idea. Mm-hmm. And the idea is that you know, each person would contribute to the training, and in some way that we would read a couple chapters of the books, you know, between meetings, and then meet and then discuss the chapters, and then do some of the exercises. Some of the chapters have exercises. And then while, you know, we need at least 6 people to take this, and then we'd also be doing empathic listening. We'd read the chapters, we would do discuss the chapters with empathic listening, and then while we're talking, the others who aren't talking would be taking notes, so that at the end of each you know, section that we cover, we'd also have kind of notes about our ideas and things that we talked about, and that we would develop a prototype website. And I have the link here, which I'll show in a minute after we go through this. The overall vision, the framing of it, is that we want to build a culture of empathy, and that the curriculum would, one, kind of contribute to building that culture of empathy. The book isn't really framed around that. It's framed around how do we just teach empathic listening, you know, going into depth in that. But we would kind of tweak it so that it would be also kind of geared towards building that, you know, having that vision of a culture of empathy. And this curriculum is the path. You know, how do we get there? We do that by learning these skills and practicing these skills. The other thing, there's a lot of different trainings out there, but none of them are geared towards the concept of building a culture of empathy. And they're not really activism oriented. Like, you know, in the empathy tent, like, you know, we mentioned that Bill and I have been out there at Sproul Plaza. We're out in public and we're kind of actively advocating for this culture of empathy and doing, you know, kind of social, political things to get the word out there. A lot of the trainings is, well, you learn these skills and you just have better relationships and can listen better or whatever. But we also want to bring in an aspect of activism. And you know, maybe is having the idea of a sort of an open source, something that other people can contribute to, that we can create a framework, kind of a step-by-step framework that other people could get involved in. The other thing is there's a person, Susan Partnow, and there's a link to her website here. And she does a process called compassionate listening, and we wanted to set up on the week of May 13, 20, and 27th. She wants to lead 3 sessions, facilitate 3 sessions, whether it's part of this group or we have another group where she would go through and lead, teach her listening process. And this group is, they do it, if you check the compassionatelistening.org site, they've been like in, you know, doing listening training in Israel, you know, and the Palestinians. They're out of Seattle, but they've been all around the world with their training. So it's quite it's not coming up here right yet. Maybe it'll fill in later. But it's, you know, they've been doing this for quite a while. And while they call it compassionate listening, it's really kind of the same thing that we're doing. And they kind of put an emphasis on more of a heartfelt experience. You know, how do you, instead of just listening, how do you have some warmth and care and compassion when you're doing the listening and be grounded in the body? The other requirements is, you know, we need to be sure everybody has a solid internet connection, you know, camera, voice, have a good quality computer, because we're going to be wanting to do this, you know, this Zoom, as well as be taking notes. So if you're not talking, to be taking notes, and then, you know, that we write up those notes. So I've been in groups where people have like cell phones or iPads and they just don't work. So it's important that we have, kind of, good equipment to be able to run both Zoom and the Google Docs. And, that to take part, to be in a quiet, non-distracting, just like everybody here right now, it's very quiet. I've been in groups where somebody's like on a cell phone and they're at, a cafe and there's all kinds of noise and stuff, or they're in a car and it's just very distracting. So just want to have those kind of, foundational kind of agreements and requirements. We're looking for about 6 people, in the group, I think is about the max that we're looking for. And, we've got 3 here, so I only really need 3 more people. We don't want it too big of a group because then you don't have as much time to talk in an empathy circle. And, if you have too little, then it's not good either because you don't have that variety of perspectives. So we kind of, 6 seems to be a good amount. We're still kind of trying to figure out the dates and times. So far this time seemed to be when most people had available, on the calendar. And let's see, these were some of the people, Lou, Dave, Terry, I think Bill, that's Bill here, and Joan, and then Rarsha. So you guys are here. And so some others, the calendar, let's go into this was the calendar to see when people had available. And it's, it has different time zones. And right now it was, Thursday at, 3 p.m. Kind of this time seemed to be when most people had available. So right now I thought, unless something else up, this seems to be the time that seems to be working. We can kind of talk about that. And the other thing is I've started creating a website for the project. So this is a Google, sites. And, we've got some links here, to all the different resources. And there's a video, for example, with William Miller, who I'd interviewed, and then started creating like the book chapters. So each chapter will have its own page, so we can take notes about that chapter, see what comes up for everyone. So this is like the overview. We've got all the, we'll have a separate web page for each of these chapters, together, accurate empathy, how accurate empathy works, attitudes for empathic understanding, roadblocks. So like the first meeting, we might do 3 chapters,
okay,
or 2
yeah,
chapters. Yeah.
It is helpful, like every week, if we decide how many chapters we have to read, so it is achievable target, like,
It's a what target?
If we decide how many chapters we have to read for the class, it is easy, like it is achievable target. It is focused.
Yeah, it's very simple. Yeah, it's like read the chapters, come and we'll do empathic listening around what we learned in the chapter.
And this curriculum caters to what age group? What age group are you focusing?
This is kind of our age group. It's, pretty much anybody. I think, a teenager on can take this.
Okay.
And you can make those notes. You're a great note taker on all this stuff. So, any of these questions, write them up and take notes, because we can bring that into the, the curriculum itself. Like I'm imagining the first lesson will be chapter preference 1, 2. The second one will be 3 and 4. And then roadblocks is a really big area. So that might be a week of its own. So we'll be figuring that out. We've got a section here, so every meeting will have its own page. We can take notes. So this is kind of like the prototype beginning for the training.
Mm.
And then everyone will be able to edit this too. I can give you permissions to edit this site. So it's kind of like our shared site. So from what I've said so far, any thoughts, feedback? There's a bit more, but I just wanted to hear so far any comments.
I have like since the time I think it's been 2 months that I've dived into creating a curriculum on empathy, and I've been talking to many people. I have talked to few people to help me create curriculum. So what is one thing, my takeaway is like the structure like you have the content, like beginning, middle, and end. So beginning and end, beginning will be like a warm up, like setting up the tone of the workshop, and ending is kind of a reflection, like again the container what the students have to take or restore in their brain for the rest of the week or rest of their life, just to reinforce. So
So
yeah,
what I'm hearing there is you see three parts, sort of a warm up, and then sort of
the main
some,
content,
the main content.
and then the reflection or the wind up, like restoration or reinforcement of that particular workshop, like day one workshop. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean?
So, okay, well, okay, right now the idea is that we would first start off with maybe talking about a culture of empathy, kind of the basics of what that is, because that's really our vision that we want to work towards. We don't have to go into real depth in that. The part two, the second thing is how to do an empathy circle, just to make sure everybody's familiar with it.
Mm.
And then the next part is everybody will have read the chapters.
Mm.
And then we start with an empathy circle, dialoguing about what we read and our thoughts and so forth. So maybe start breaking it down like that. And then,
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm hearing two things. One, I'm hearing of when I took Varsha's, is that the course has a beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
And I was hearing what you were saying, which is talking about the structure of our daily discussion and creating that curriculum, which is fine. Both things sound really good. One of the things that I think that might be a useful practice, and of course we're going to need beginning and middle and end, but a lot of times it's good to like establish what are the goals, what do we want to have people feeling or achieving at the end of this time. And they don't have to be, sure, there are going to be some specific listening skills, but there'll also be some empowerment things as well. And so I think that, it's good to be talking about, now I've gone through this course. What specifically have I learned and how am I feeling and how can I use this? So looking at.
You mean outcomes? The outcomes, right? The outcomes, what?
Sure, outcomes. Yeah. Outcomes, and then part of it for me, just to explain, is a sort of a dynamic outcome, not necessarily a discrete skill. Those would be, but a feeling that the person has learned a skill and now feels empowered and creative to take that forward independently.
Hmm. Okay.
So I just putting in, so that will be part of what we'll be doing is having these sort of discussions, and we also have the notes to be note-taking here. So I'm hearing, one, the course has the beginning, a middle, and end, and what is that? And then also sort of a clarity on the goals. What are the specifics? What specifics have, I guess, we learned or they learned?
Right. And I think there you can put like as a subdivision, well, they should be learning the listening skills, right? In other words, that's a very specific thing. They should have some listening skills from, Susan and, William and, whatever, and whoever else we bring in.
Can this be adaptable to different mediums like music, drawing, painting, dance, movement?
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead, Varsha.
Because if different people are participating, everybody might have their own goals, while they're attending this training. Like I'm specifically attending because I want to create a curriculum for movement. So will this be adaptable to movement or any other medium, or is it just the empathy circle and talking and sharing?
I think this is what we've been talking about somewhat, Varsha. I agree with you. Like, for instance, I do a lot of improvisational theater.
Yeah.
And a lot of the practices in improvisational theater go towards different types of listening. For instance, creating a rhythm in music, you're listening and things like that. So I definitely, personally, very supportive of that. The way I see that is that we have a structure about the listening skills, and then people then take that into these different areas, and we facilitate that. That's kind of my rough schema now.
Yeah, that's what even I was thinking that this workshop would be like that. Also, like listening to Alan Alda, some of the improvisation examples that he shared. There is a lot of the Indian classical dance that I practice. There's a lot of theater and rhythm in that. So the activities that we do in theater can be easily adapted in my dance form, in a movement or dance, and So probably in this training, if everybody, I don't know what people's background are, if everybody share, we just need one inspiration. So from that inspiration, if everybody share different activities pertaining to one specific goal, it would be very fast.
Right. So just in listening to you, like for instance, what I saw is that I think we'll kind of take together and we'll have a listening curriculum. So we have the shared thing of empathy and listening to each other. And then, for instance, and I'm just brainstorming here, but then you say, okay, this is this dance that I've created around that, and there would be a link to that.
Yeah.
And so there people can then share and create it and saying, this is how I take empathy into accounting even. Not as interesting as dance, but still, somebody's got to do it.
Yeah. Edwin, my spelling is Varsha. There's R.
R. Varsha.
Yes.
Okay, so I just muted just so you don't hear my typing. So what I'm hearing there is that we want to get clear on what are the goals, what specifically have they learned. And the core we're hearing so far is listening skills. The core goals, we want everyone to learn these listening skills. And from these listening skills, take those skills and take it into your own interests. So you can take it into dance, you can take it into, and we have that farther down, take it into dance, take it into improv, take it into accounting. And that Varsha is interested in the dance, taking it into dance, and Bill is interested in more of the improv area, and I guess accounting.
Hey, that was a joke.
I know, I'm joking about your joke.
No, I know, but I mean, I can see, a bunch of accountants talking about empathetic accounting, so.
Right, so everybody, it's the core is, we've got this core activity that we're learning, and then we're going to want to, push that or take that out into different areas where we have that core practice. And so we're kind of like being open and kind of open to creativity and innovation, basically.
Yeah.
And we also want to hear what everybody's goals are and how they would like to use it. So that might be an interesting question. Is it's some big part to begin with. Is what are your goals for the training or something like that? Okay. Is there more?
Are we also going to bounce off, or are we going to brainstorm the activities? Like if I have some activities for movement, activities like improv, even I'm looking for improv activities for dance. So are we going to am I going to share with the group, or I'm just going to take notes for myself? What is it?
So it's kind of like, how do we bring in new ideas and activities?
Yeah. Because I think this can be adaptable, like movement or music or something. It's just an inspiration, and if anyone shares one of the activity, it can be built, or it can be taken as an inspiration to create another activity. That's how I get inspired.
Yeah. No. I think that at first, I think our first thing now, once we get that, is to start to focus on the listening curriculum.
Yeah.
So we have that core, and then once we have the core, we could take it in. But I'd be, if you wanted to, at one of these things, demonstrate something, or, I'd be open. because I think that's part of what it should be: fun and expanding and learning new things.
Hmm. Yes.
Okay, so that would be another part of this, is that we're all going to have this shared document. So as we go along, that we kind of are able to document all these ideas, and that at the end we can also create sort of a report from it, and we'll put it on the website so that it can kind of keep growing. This is the way I see it, is it's sort of a prototype. You know, we're just getting something out there, getting started. We've got something. At least we're learning by doing.
Yeah.
And that it's like, you know, we're constantly innovating and prototyping. And so we would have to figure out, it's like we start with the empathic listening. And then if somebody has an idea, it's like, oh, I would like a 10-minute section to present an activity or something like that, that maybe we could have something like that. So it's like, how do we bring in these new activities?
Yes.
Like, so I know we can kind of be open to that as well. But as I was hearing, and what I agree with too, is the first is we got to get the book and begin with learning some of those skills. And as we learn those skills, we can be thinking of jumping off things to add. But maybe we can have a period of time where we can bring in different activities, during the call, and then we start again with the next chapter at the next meeting, and then can kind of, and then actually to create a bit of a tool set for different activities is something I'd like to be open to as well. So, okay, other ideas? Anything else before we move on? Or
for listening well, I yet have to contemplate on the notes that I've taken from Alan Alda, but there are different ideas that is revolving around listening. So probably in the coming weeks, I'll put it in the document. Like, under listening, what are the subcategories of listening? Like, listening is a big umbrella. What are the other subtopics that leads to listening well?
so, like Alan Alda and his some of his improv act.
Oh, here's Bob.
Oh, hey, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, Edwin, Bill.
Hey,
How you doing?
Varsha.
Welcome back.
do you want to introduce yourself? We're just
Sure. I'm Bob Brown, and I'm late to the meeting. Please forgive me. I overslept, and I'm just stoked to be part of this.
And since you haven't met Varsha, could you just give like a 30-second intro, Varsha? So
I have to give intro? He has to.
just so Bob knows who you are.
Oh, I'm an Indian performance artist transitioning into community engagement artist, and I am movement analyst. And my goal as an artist is to propagate universal human values, and I'm starting with empathy as my first project. Through performance making, engaging audience, and through dance education.
Okay, well, thank you. So we're just going through the overview of the idea for the training. We're needing 6 people, so we basically only need like 2 more if everybody here can make the meeting. So I guess that'll be we'll have to talk about the scheduling, if the times that meet. So we're just kind of brainstorming some of the aspects of the training, and it's being recorded too, so you'll be able to go back and see what we talked about, Bob.
Okay.
So we're just talking about the framework of the training. Anything else this will just, the way I see it, it's going to kind of develop. We've got an easy structure, and that structure we can just keep, we have every meeting, we just have read some chapters, we talk about it, and then we can add some extra activities if we want. So it's fairly simple. And then we want to take everything that we've created and put it on the website in, multimedia toolkit, kind of develop a toolkit. And we've got a nice structure, that 16 chapters of the book to go through. And I think that gives us, an easy kind of structure to follow, and also allows for innovation, some new creative ideas and stuff. So the other thing I wanted to mention is that I created a Facebook event page for this. It's on Facebook, and there's actually 11 people said they were interested. Bob had signed up. So what I'm hoping is we can, find at least 2 more people that are kind of have a passion for it. And a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm interested," but we need to find some people that where it works, time-wise, schedule-wise, as well as have a passion. And if it seems like it's really working well, we can always create a second group or something like that too, to work on it. So, but we need just those 6 folks to get the ball rolling. What else? This is all linked. If you go to the website, I'll put that link in. I think that I can't get to the links here, but the sharing, to share that. But there's links, from the different pages that you have so far. And this is going to be our kind of central site here, this web page. And then kind of all the different links, there's, links to all the different resources will be here. So you can easily access that. And what I wanted to share was I have done something like this before. There's a book called 12 Steps to Compassion by Karen Armstrong. And we put together a group, and we did the exact same thing. We just read a chapter, and then we met, and you can even see some of the reviews here. I think these circles are wonderful. What a wonderful experience, very powerful, feel moved by the reflection. So people really kind of enjoyed the whole discussion. We had, again, like 5 people, and we did some different activities, movement activities there too, kind of shared reflection. And then we took notes and put it in here, but these notes are just like outlines. And what I'd really like is for us to have a finished written piece about each meeting that other people can easily read. So that would be one of the things I hope will come out of this. And then we'll just keep fleshing out, all the different pages here. So that's kind of anything else on top of that. I guess there's the scheduling. It's like
I'm going to change the schedule. I'm going to remove all that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm going to remove all that because I've already enrolled for the course now. My schedule is, I know what it looks like for the next 3 weeks.
So you can or can't make it. You can make this time slot. Are you saying? It wasn't quite clear.
Thursday, 6 o'clock, I will make it. And
Okay.
Friday, I'm available pretty much the whole day. But Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm not available.
Okay.
After 6 o'clock, I'm available. Yeah. 6 o'clock, I'm available. Not during the other times in the morning and afternoon.
Okay. Bill, does this time slot work for you?
Yeah, I can make this time slot.
Okay. Bob?
3 to 5 is good when I set my alarm next time.
You're not.
What is it with you? Sleeping late? I don't know.
I'm one wacky guy.
You are. So I guess the next thing would be is we would meet next week. It looks like we have 4 of us as a core group. We need 2 more people, and then we just kind of put a cap on it, And if more people want to join, we'd have to create a second group, which I don't mind, facilitating that, because I really see this as the foundation, for creating, more extensive empathy curriculum or massively online course. And yeah, so read the preference, chapter 1 and chapter 2. We'll do an intro for empathic listening. Most of us know how to do it, and we'll record the call. And yeah, I think we're ready to get the ball rolling.
Great. Okay.
Have you recorded our introduction as well in the beginning? I was not aware about it because there are certain things I spoke that should not be highlighted in the recorded video.
It wasn't recorded. I don't think we recorded the first part, did we?
Okay.
So, okay. Yeah, so you have to be, willing to record. So you gotta self-censor any like super private things that you don't want out there because, yeah, so that's about it that I can think of. Anything else we need to cover? I think I was just looking for about an hour, and I think we just about made it.
Yeah.
For this call, it's going to be 2 hours next time.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and I just have to say I have a little bit of anxiety since I'm not so up on the documents and the note taking and stuff, to have a finished product while a meeting is in process.
Oh no, afterwards, that we take the material and after. That's why I was mentioning the homework. We got 2 hours of meeting. You probably have only, it's not much to read. It's maybe 30, 40 minutes at most to read. And then the rest of
the... But I'm not that bad. Yeah. Go ahead.
And then the rest of the time is for doing any sort of cleanup of articles. The writing that we do is like I did. It'll be just like note-taking. It depends on your screen size. But if we have 6 people, then we got 4 people note-taking, 2 people talking and 4 can note-take. And I know Varsha is like this master at note-taking and writing and organizing.
I have just started with this project of empathy because I have to highlight ideas, I just have to keep reading and highlight. So I've started taking notes, like note-taking. Otherwise, I just like to listen and record on my phone.
Okay, well, all I'm saying is I'm warning you all that I am a willing but unskilled participant as far as that whole thing.
Okay, I'm going to offer for your anxiety. I'm hearing you're feeling some anxiety because you're a willing but unskilled participant, but you're willing to give it a try.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I take notes in the book. I write because I write fast rather than I type. Like free writing. I like free writing, like my thoughts. So free writing, I make use of the book. I cannot do free writing on the computer. So probably I'll take notes on this and then I'll translate into the computer document.
Okay, we're going to try to accommodate everybody. What styles work for you?
Yeah.
And plus, we will have a recording of this, so people can always go back and listen and transcribe too. So we're gonna have lots of documentation.
Okay.
So yeah. So everybody feel heard? Feel set?
Yeah.
Okay. Then great. Then we'll see you next week, and keep looking for those other 2. I think maybe Dave and Lou might join us. So
Yeah. Even I have the book. Even I have the book.
We're all set.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Okay, take care.
Meeting you, Varsha.
Bye. How do I close?
I'll end the meeting.